Hallelujah. Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. At that time, there was a wedding at Cana in Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus also was invited to the wedding with his disciples. When the wine ran out, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, what does this have to do with me? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Now, there were 6 stone water jars there for the Jewish rites of purification, each holding 70 or 100 liters. Jesus said to the servants, "Fill the jars with water," and they filled them up to the brim. And he said to them, "Now, draw some out and take it to the master of the feast." So they took it. When the master of the feast tasted the water now become wine, and did not know where it came from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew, the master of the feast called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves the good wine first, and when people have drunk freely, then they pour wine. But you have kept the good wine until now." This, the first of his signs, Jesus did at Cana in Galilee and manifested his glory. And his disciples believed in him. The Gospel of the Lord. When the wine ran out, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." Words we heard this morning from the Gospel of John, chapter 2, verses 1 to 11. Some of my friends who are really into alcohol would often quote this passage of the Bible, how Jesus turned water into wine, to justify their drinking habits. For them, the fact that Jesus turned water into wine as his first ever miracle was super significant. It was for them an endorsement, a motivation. They would often argue that if it wasn't to encourage alcohol drinking, Jesus could have turned the water into something else, maybe to juice or lemonade. And some people will ask that question, are we sure that the water turned wine was alcohol? Anyway, today we are not here to evaluate or counter the argument of my friends. Rather, today let us look briefly on what prompted Jesus to do that miracle, his first ever miracle recorded in the Bible. There was a wedding at Cana in Galilee. Jesus, his mother, and his disciples were invited as guests. When the family ran out of wine, his mother Mary went to him and said, "Son, their wine has finished. They have no wine." Although Jesus was a little bit hesitant at first because it wasn't yet time for him to manifest his glory, to also declare his identity, and to also express his power. But his mother was hesitant, so the miracle happened. Now the big question is, who told Mary that the people had run out of wine? who informed her that the people has no wine again. I don't know if there's any record somewhere to suggest that somebody reported the situation to Mary. So how did she know that their wine had finished? Before we come to that, may we remember that for the Jews at the time, wine was an essential element in any social celebration. Wine was considered the soul of every feast. Without wine, there was no feast. In fact, for the Jews, it is considered a lesser evil to run out of food at a social celebration than to run out of wine. To run out of wine was considered an unpardonable social mistake, which carried with it some kind of social stigma. It could also mean that the family didn't prepare very well or didn't make adequate provision for their invited guests. That would have been a shame and a terrible humiliation for the couple. Now, we can then, with this idea, understand the pressure, the shame, and the embarrassment the family was dealing with when they discovered that they had run out of wine before the wedding was over. So, who then told Mary that their wine had finished? Nobody. The family didn't say anything to her. She saw something, that their wine had finished. She observed and noticed that the family was struggling at the time. What to do? And then she stepped out and intervened. Mary could have kept to herself. After all, nobody told her anything. Nobody opened up to her. In our society today, many people are running out of life. Many people are running out of hope. Many are depressed. Many are frustrated. Many are angry. Many are hungry. Many are lonely and sad. Many people are unhappy. Forget the cosmetic smiles, please. A lot of people are going through a lot in their life, but we hide it under those smiles. Many are not opening up for some reasons. Maybe because they are ashamed of what they are passing through, of their story. Or it could be that they are afraid of being judged, afraid of being misunderstood, or afraid of being rejected. Some would like to open up, but they may not know the right person to open up to. If you see me tomorrow and you think that my face is not as bright and cheerful as it used to be, what would you do? And if I don't open up to you, what will you do? Will you encourage me to open up to you? Will you make me to open up? At least I know my own is very easy. If you want me to open up to you, take me to an Italian restaurant. Give me risotto di carne, and I will tell you everything, even the things you don't expect to hear. That's a joke anyway. But sometimes if I don't open up to you, it's not because I don't want to open up to you. It could be that I don't know how to start. I may be waiting for someone to trigger me to say something. I may be waiting for someone to show me that he or she is there to listen before I open up. Mary was observant. She was sensitive to discover that the couple were struggling at the time. And then she intervened proactively. Interestingly, in our society here in the UK, we have a saying that if you don't ask, You don't receive. You know that is not correct always. People who are in need must not always ask before they are helped. People who are struggling may not always be disposed to ask for some reasons, as we have mentioned. Some are not courageous enough to open up. I think we can also help them to open up. In as much as we encourage ourselves to open up to people around us, when life becomes a little bit overwhelming for us, may we not always wait for people to open up. We can make them open up. Mary has set an example for us. She was sensitive. She observed. She could have waited for them to come to her, but no, she went out and offered help. She didn't wait for them to open up. Don't wait for someone to open up. They may not know how to do it. Beyond the smiles, there could be some pains. If you feel it, when you enter the British train, they will always tell you, if you see something, say something, we'll sort it. If you see someone who is passing through something, say something to them. There could be a way of helping.